we have Illyria and Araya, and they're going to be talking about their experience in Code Camp 2019, about one of the activities we did in class, about objects. So can you give me, your own interpretation of what an object is in computer programming?
An object is like a person or a thing that you give the object to do, or the thing to do, like a specific task or an action. Like if you tell the object to move forward, then that's a specific action they would do it.
Okay, so that's sort of what an object is, but I think you were describing what a method is. Yeah. So give me an example of an object.
Like a hero or a munchkin.
Okay, it could be a hero.
A square.
Bugs,
Square,
circles, heroes,
A book.
enemies.
Glasses.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything.
Yeah, pretty much anything. Thank you. Generally, it could be anything. You can make anything an object. And then going back to what you said, you can give objects what?
A method.
Methods. And a methods can be anything that it what?
Anything that like you give it to do, or
Yeah.
What you tell
like
it
a
to do.
function or something like that.
Yeah, it's a function.
Oh yeah, like a task.
Yeah, a task. So you guys created your own object, right?
Yes.
And with its own methods.
Mhm.
So can you share? I don't know who wants to go first. Wants to share their object they made.
So my object that I made, his name is Billy the Jilly, and basically he's like something I made up in my imagination. And he can do many things. He can eat, he can sleep, he can go to the bathroom, he can fly, he can mess with people's minds, he can jump, run, and walk, and fight people and stuff like that, and do many things.
Cool. So he's like a action superhero
Yeah,
kind of person.
yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, that was just you just let our imagination run wild, and you can do all those cool methods, those cool functions. And Illyria, what was your object?
My object name is Korshika, and the game Granny inspired me to make her because the way Granny looked,
Mm-hmm.
and she can run, strike, eat, sleep. She has laser eyes, and she can explode like a creeper off Minecraft.
Okay, cool. So you got a lot of inspiration from gaming.
Yes.
So now every time you look at like a video game or any game online, will you look at it the same,
Yes.
knowing that since you've done this activity,
Mm-hmm.
you see how it relates on how they make video games and how they have to make a character.
Yeah.
That's a lot of coding they do though.
Yeah.
For those video
Yeah.
games.
A lot of coding.
Right. So did you guys get to do game development
Yes,
on Code Combat?
I did. I don't
Okay.
know about her, but
So is it similar?
Yeah, I think I did.
Mm.
I don't know if I was here that week.
Okay. So maybe did you see any similarities when you made your object and how
Yes.
you made the hero on Code Combat? Were they alike or a little different?
they were kind of different because there was some like you had to make a goal, add a goal, spawn player at a certain coordinate, or
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, yes, but all in all, you still had to use an object
Yes.
and a method.
Yeah.
And what's your overall experience, from last year, from coding to this year? Do you see a big difference?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was the difference for you? Do you feel like you're more confident in coding now, or?
Yeah, I feel like I've grown a lot in coding because I like coding, and last year it was a lot different from doing it this year with the robot, and now we can do it like on the computer
Mhm.
and with like heroes and fighting enemies and stuff like that.
And with Python code, not Blockly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had the big year. We transitioned from block.
Into Python.
Python.
Actual language.
Yeah, actual right. We had to do the real time. All right. Well, thank you. That's it. All right. So here we are with Amaya and Najee, and they're going to talk about their experience in Code Camp 2019. So I'm just going to ask them a couple questions. Yeah, Code Camp. What program did you use this year?
Code Combat.
Cool, Code Combat. And yeah, how was your experience with Code Combat?
It was good.
It was different because this is my first year doing this camp, so.
Okay.
It was different for me because last year we used code.org and we used like games that were already made and based off of, like real stuff, and we just coded them. So this year we got to make our own games and stuff.
Yeah, so from last year you didn't use this language. You used a new language this year. What language was that?
Python,
Yeah, Python. And last year you used
code, Blocky.
Blocky. Yeah, good. So you were here last year, right? The last Code Camp. And Najee, you weren't here.
No, this is my first year.
Okay, cool. So how was this for your first year, seeing real code without going from block code to actual code?
I mean, it was kind of like familiar because I've done coding in school before.
Mm-hmm.
But it was different at the same time because in school I used JavaScript, but here I use Python, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you know two languages now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Code Combat, we have JavaScript,
Yes.
but we chose Python because we needed to go to Code Rocky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So yeah. So just tell me your experience on like Code Combat. Like, what was cool about the platform? What did you like to see, or tell me even your dislikes about Code Combat.
So let me see. Something that I like, probably like, how on code.org, like it will have like Minecraft and it was already set up, or it will have like what is it called, Star Wars, and you would use that. I like that you got to you choose your own character. It has you go through like different scenes, like, so not every one of them looks exactly the same, like, and you got to do different stuff on each one.
Yeah, they had different challenges, like so what were some of the obstacles on some of the levels? Because I know you had some enemies.
Some obstacles, like sometimes you have to like attack ogres and stuff, and what else did you have to do?
What did you have to avoid too?
The spikes.
Yeah, avoid spikes and.
Like you had to avoid
Oh, explosions?
Yeah, the little
the fire
bomb.
traps.
Yeah, the bombs or fire traps. So you had to make sure your code works perfectly, right?
Yes.
Or else what happens to your player?
They die.
They would die.
You have to
Yeah.
restart.
Yeah, they'll die. You have to restart again. So was it easy to know what to do on the level?
I think so, cause if you ever get like stuck, just go in the corner and it'll tell you the goals, or you can go in the right corner and it'll give you hints on what you need to do.
Yeah,
Or-
they have a hints tab,
Or
right?
if you got me wrong, it would like show up in red and you would know what to fix.
Yeah. So what were some of the errors that you got? The parts that showed up in red?
Syntax, like
Oh.
different syntax errors.
Yeah, syntax low. Like if you didn't have it written perfectly, right?
Yeah, or
Yes,
like
it
if
wouldn't
one of the
work.
letters wasn't capitalized, like the entire code would be wrong.
Exactly. So you got to be very careful of that. And also, did you see that it gave you comments that kind of steered you in the right direction?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, was that helpful?
Yes, sir.
And yeah, so you use Python and Code Combat, and did you guys complete the course?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. And what was the most challenging level, do you think, for you?
I think it was. You can go.
It was the most challenging level for me was like probably the last level, because you had to you had your own character, but you had to release other characters that were like on your side, and it was like another side that was your enemies that you had to beat. And like my challenges was I couldn't release my characters because I kept having a hard time doing that. But once I did that, then I eventually won the level.
Yeah. So that what you're talking about is the Code Combat Arena.
Yes.
So did you actually get to Code Combat somebody, like Amaya here, or anybody?
No, I didn't get to go
Yeah.
to that. It was just the computer.
I think-
was going against.
Yeah, I think that level was a little bit difficult for everybody, right? But everything else was easier. What do you think about using the while true loop?
I think Wild True was like one of the best things on there. It was like it makes stuff a lot more simple. Like instead of going, if you have the same code over and over, instead of having to do it over and over, just put a Wild True and it'll just keep going on forever.
Cool. And Do you remember how to use variables?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So was it hard to use a variable?
No.
No, sir.
Do you know what a variable does?
Yes.
Who can give me a brief explanation if you can?
Okay. A variable is like, say you wanted to attack someone, but they didn't have a name. So it was like enemy 1 or enemy 2. You would just like hero find nearest enemy, and then hero attack enemy or enemy 1 in the parentheses,
Mm-hmm.
and it would attack that character.
Cool. So you had to assign that method to just a short word, right?
Yes.
So you had like enemy 1 equals hero find nearest enemy, right? And did this code combat help you? Well, did it prepare you to program Code Rocky?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
How so?
Well, it was one specific day it helped when we used Codey Rocky in like Python code, and everything, like it looked more complicated, but it was all, like the same stuff, but it just looked harder.
So there's no surprises, right? Everything was familiar. You knew what objects were, you knew what methods were, you knew what arguments were. So you knew you could code it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Just run it.
yeah, and run it. So I think the only problem you had is what, the setup?
Yeah,
After-
it's different.
Yeah, the setup was different. All right, well that's it. Thank you.